What's going on, everybody? Kody here. Welcome back to Retail Talks, podcast episode number 11. Very excited for the topic we are bringing you today. I think that, so many of our retail clients over the last couple of years constantly have questions around in-store, online. How do I view both of them? And I just want to dispel, not necessarily some of the myths, but just answer a lot of questions and just have good dialogue around in-store selling versus online selling. So, just to kind of introduce this topic, we're just going to be talking about just some misconceptions around e-commerce. I think that the biggest thing I'll say, just kind of out of the gate here, is that when it comes to e-commerce transactions, we had a huge client of ours that has multi locations, millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in sales, not shut down their website, but shut down the e-commerce component of their website because there was just they were chasing that shiny object. There is a tremendous amount of competition for e-commerce transactions, and you may be the only show in town for an in-store transaction for your product or service. So I think that, like, in general, I think e-commerce is way too hyped up, for the amount of revenue that you're going to do, and also for the investment you're going to have to make for that revenue, whether it's personnel, advertising spend, etc. We're just going to talk a little bit about how to tailor your content and copy to in-store and e-commerce transactions. That's a big thing. And then the right segmentation to build up the e-commerce and keep in-store foot traffic high. So let's just kind of dive into things a little bit. So let's start with the in-store centric thinking. Everyone is thinking about e-commerce, but 90% of your revenue is really going to come from an in-store transaction. Our largest clients that have $1 million e-commerce stores, that's still at max maybe 20% of their revenue. Because if you're doing that type of revenue online, you're a bigger store. And we're going to launch future podcast episodes with this, but when I think about the big brands, like a Target, a Lululemon, a Dick's Sporting Goods, majority of their sales are still happening inside of a store. Whether they have it close to 50-50, the higher percentage is still happening in a store, and those are multi-billion-dollar brands, so it's just thinking about it, and they have great brand recognition. So somebody buying something online, it's not a big deal. But that in-store centric thinking, the client that shut down their e-commerce store, I kind of viewed it, and I think I even kind of talked about it with them, is this that shiny object syndrome that some people and some businesses have. And I think e-commerce is one of those things, because you could have $1 million retail store, and even if next year you did $85,000 on your e-commerce store, what is your true net, operating margin, from that? When you take away cost of goods, when you take away all your expenses to acquire the customers, you may be looking at the end of the day at $5,000 to $10,000 in profit. Which, if you invested that same money and same time and attention into in-store, you could be looking at quadruple, 5, 6, 7x that. So I think it's coming at it from a lens of not only where a majority of your revenue comes from, but just the time and attention that you are going to have to give e-commerce. It's not to say that you don't do it. It's just, if you could grow your in-store sales 30% or your online 30%, which one would you rather take that on? Obviously the in-store, because the revenue is a lot higher. And there's still a tremendous amount of people in your town, we've talked about this on prior episodes, that just don't even know that you exist. So they've never even bought in your store, let alone a stranger. If you're in St. Louis, Missouri, a stranger buying something in Seattle, you're going to have to pay a lot to acquire that customer. The next thing I want to talk about is segmenting the in-store versus online people and the traffic and the customer data. So one of the things I think that our clients, we don't really do a lot with our clients online because of our software. We're really focused on the in-store nature. But I'll just give you some quick tips of that segmenting in-store versus online. If you have, let's say you're focusing on the email and the texting, and you have a tool like we use called Klaviyo, you can segment pretty easily with our tool the in-store transactions and the online transactions. If you are sending your own emails, your own text messages, you can make sure that you're sending a text message or an email to someone that only bought in store or bought online with online-based transactions or offers, that would be very easily done, and just a really good way to personalize the experience, segment that data. Obviously, if you're going to send out a text message for an in-store purchase and somebody's in Seattle and you're in St. Louis, that doesn't really work. So making sure that they've bought a product in store before you have sent the messages. Social media, ads, it doesn't really matter, because like at the end of the day, if you're showing someone an ad and they live in Seattle, they can go to your online website and buy. Where if you're sending them an in-store only offer for texting, but if you have an in-store only offer and you're showing a social media ad, just excluding people that bought online, and that's pretty easy to do in the custom audiences, would probably make a lot of sense. But just a couple of things to think about there with the segmentation. But reading a lot of data articles myself, it's just, how can you personalize the marketing experience for the person seeing the ad? That's the biggest thing. And you, as a marketing professional watching this, or an owner, just think about that for your business. How do you personalize that experience for an online or an in-store customer? And then one of the final things here, just to hit on something I think that's pretty important, is just the ads call to action. So one of the things we're getting into pretty heavy here at Omni is video ads. Would really, really, really encourage you to start video ads. I think that obviously it's the most recent past, it's the present, it's definitely the future. But I think that, like, in general, really having strong call to actions in the videos of, hey, shop online, shop in store, stop by today, use offer in store, go to our website, go to this section, use online code X. Really having that strong opening call to action, I think, is very important. I was talking about that with a client this morning about, and he thought it was really good advice, and he's a really good creative individual, but is really highlighting in your video when you are focusing on in-store traffic. One of the biggest tips I can make when it comes to video is your call out at the beginning. Literally something as simple as, let's say you're based in St. Louis, or let's say you're based in a suburb of St. Louis, or let's just use our example here in Iowa City. We're based in Coralville. It's just the town adjacent to Iowa City. You could simply say, hey, Coralville residents, are you in need of new shoes? Are you in need of a new washer? Are you in need of a new roof? Are you in need of a new whatever? And it makes sure that that is contextual to the person seeing the ad, right? Call them out. Call out who you're trying to reach for an in-store purchase is so incredibly important. And then when you layer in the online portion of that, that's where it's just important to call out if it's an online only offer. That's the main point with online. But for the in-store side, the call out is very important. And then the wrap up, at the end of the video, have in your ad copy, where are you based? Where is the location, of your company? I think that is extremely important. So let's kind of hit on just some questions that I want to, really answer for you, that we kind of get a lot. The first one is, what should my marketing efforts be for in-store? I think that one of the biggest things I see is people just not running enough ads. They're just not running enough ads. And what I would really try to do is to have an ad running at all times for every major segment of your business. The brands you carry, the categories you carry, a whole store overview. Have your staff get involved, get videos of them going. The nicks and crannies. I mean, we're gonna come out an episode of this, but I can't contain myself. Is like, Lululemon was running 140 ads on Facebook and Instagram. I don't think it's out of the question that most small businesses are running 0 to 5 ads, and most of them aren't running any. So if you could run anywhere from 20 to 40 pieces of creative, that is a game changer for your business. And take it from a top-down level. Do a store overview, and then focus on, we work with a lot of shoe retailers, focus on your categories of shoes. If you're a run specialty retailer, focus on high, mid, low, soles. Focus on, arch support, not soles, arch support. If you're a more comfort shoe retailer, focus on your work boots, focus on your comfort, focus on your athletic. And then you could dive into the specific brands. You could dive into the specific SKUs within each category right there. you would have 50 pieces of creative overnight that you could produce, and most of you are running zero. So really focusing on the in-store experience and the call out of where you're located. Next one is online helps in store. You know, really making your e-commerce or your website experience to really facilitate that transaction in store. And how can you have like a chat support on your website to answer questions? How can you have you know order online, pick up in store type options for people locally, really gearing your messaging towards that, or delivery options. I think that it's just you know really researching larger retailers. They have that omni-channel approach: delivery, order online, pick up in store, fast free shipping. Just how can you make it as easy as possible for someone to do business with you, to have that good online experience to facilitate in store? And then how does in store help online? I think that allowing people, when they are shopping in store, to keep marketing messages in front of them on a consistent basis, so that if they do want to, order another of the same model before the next one comes out, that they could just do it online. That's what obviously a lot of people do. And who knows the billions and billions, probably trillions of dollars that are shifted hands from somebody buying in store and then they buy online the next time. I mean, in consumer goods, that's hundreds of billions of sales that are moved from a local company to a national company where they buy online. So that's just something to think about. What should my marketing efforts be for online? I think that the biggest thing there is to really just spend enough money. I think that really understanding your metrics of what percentage of your revenue are you spending towards marketing, whether that is to drive an online sale or an in-store sale, just really just spending more. I don't think companies spend enough of their top line revenue percentage to marketing enough. Then the final one here: what are some common misconceptions with e-commerce? I think it's kind of like what we talked about at the beginning. It's that shiny object syndrome. It's that I think people focus too much on it, when if they did the marketing and advertising differently in store, it could drastically help them, just be better and catch more sales and grow more top line than if they focused basically online. So, that just to kind of really summarize, in order to be successful with digital advertising, it's important to remember that 90% of your revenue comes in store. How are you catering your audiences, your creative, your targeting with ads to the in-store transaction? So segmenting and tailoring your campaigns to push people in store is extremely important. But it's important to have strategies on how to build your e-commerce business so you can utilize that data as well. It is the full vertical integration of in-store online, and getting those two things working together that's huge. But overall, in-store is always going to be king, but it's important to utilize that data, from your online store as well. So hopefully you took a couple things away today. I think, even just to kind of always give you at least one big nugget, is just running more creative that is very local tailored, I think is very, very important. So please let us know if you have any questions on any of this information. As always, really appreciate you tuning in to Retail Talks. And until next time, I am your host, Kody Fitzgerald, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.